Have you ever looked someone in the eyes and wondered what they're really thinking? What they truly feel beneath the words, the smiles, the practiced expressions? Most people think reading minds requires intuition, manipulation, or years of study. But the truth is, understanding someone deeply comes down to asking the right questions, questions that go beneath small talk and touch the soul. This is not about control or invasion. It's about connection. Because when you understand what drives a person, you understand the essence of who they are. Welcome to the Stoic Flame. Imagine sitting across from someone and instead of guessing what's behind their mask, you could gently open a door into their inner world. You don't need magic, psychology degrees, or hidden tricks. You just need awareness and the courage to listen. Because the human mind reveals itself not through data, but through stories, moments, and emotions hidden between words. When you ask someone about the highlight of their week, you might think it as a casual question, but it as a mirror reflecting what they value most. A person who lights up talking about helping a stranger tells you more about their soul than 100 conversations about work ever could. One who mentions finishing a project shows pride in discipline and completion. Another who smiles about a quiet evening with family reveals that connection is their sanctuary. Every answer carries a clue, not just about what they did, but about who they are when no one's watching. Listen not just to their words, but to their energy. Watch how their face changes when they describe something that made them feel alive. Their voice softens or strengthens. Their eyes brighten. In that moment, you're witnessing truth, a rare glimpse of the inner fire that fuels them. As Marcus Aurelius said, very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. And when you understand what that little thing is for someone else, you understand their happiness. But connection doesn't stop there. To understand someone deeply, you must see how they've grown. Ask them what they used to believe that they no longer do. This question reveals evolution, the ability to change, to admit being wrong, to become wiser. Some will tell you they used to think success meant working late every night until they realized peace was worth more than praise. Others might say they once thought asking for help was weakness, until they discovered it was the purest form of strength. The way a person talks about change tells you whether they are rigid or open, proud or humble, trapped in ego or guided by growth. The wise do not fear change, they learn from it. Seneca once said, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." When someone shares what they've let go of, they re-showing you the version of themselves they buried, and the one they chose to become. Understanding growth is powerful, but there's something even deeper, understanding values. Ask someone what they would change about how people treat each other, and you'll discover what their heart aches for. Some wish for more kindness, others for honesty, patience, respect, or loyalty. Their answer is never random. It's shaped by the pain they've lived through. The person who wishes others would stop breaking promises has been betrayed. The one who longs for more empathy has been misunderstood. These answers are maps to wounds, to wisdom, and to the kind of world they quietly wish existed. Listen closely. When someone says, "I wish people would be more grateful," they're really saying, "I wish people appreciated me." When they say, "I wish people were more honest," they might be whispering, "I've been lied to." Understanding this doesn't just reveal their mind, it touches their heart. Because behind every wish for how humanity should act lies a story of how humanity once failed them. Then, look for how they handle the unexpected. Ask them about a decision they made that surprised even themselves. That question unlocks courage. It shows you whether they're capable of stepping outside their own limits. A person might tell you about leaving a safe job to chase a dream, speaking up when they used to stay silent, or forgiving someone they thought they'd hate forever. Each story reveals who they truly are, not the version they plan, but the one they discover in moments of truth. Sometimes the quietest person hides the most daring soul. I once met someone who said she quit her corporate job to start a food truck, even though she'd never cooked professionally. "Something inside me needed to create," she said. And in that moment, her entire presence changed. The timid worker I thought I knew was gone. In her place stood someone fierce, alive, and free. You can't predict that from resumes or first impressions. You learn it when you ask questions that make people surprise themselves. And then, the final key, the question that strips away fear and reveals the soul. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? Most people spend their lives imprisoned by what-ifs. This question breaks the cage. When you remove fear from the equation, truth rushes in. The artist says they'd paint full-time. The traveler says they'd see the world. The quiet helper says they'd open a center for children who need guidance. Each answer is a confession of what they truly long for but are too afraid to chase. When you hear their dream, you're hearing their essence, the pure, unfiltered version of who they were before fear taught them to settle. Some crave adventure, others purpose. Some crave peace, others impact. And when you know what a person would do if failure didn't exist, you understand what they were born to do. But here's the deeper truth. These questions aren't just for understanding others. They're mirrors for yourself. What's been your highlight lately? What belief have you outgrown? What change do you wish to see in people? What choice surprised you? What would you do if failure were impossible? The answers to these don't just reveal others. They reveal you. Understanding someone deeply isn't about reading minds. It's about reading meaning. It's about slowing down, listening between the lines, and seeing the world through their eyes. Because real connection isn't built through constant talking. It's built through presence. When you look at someone and truly want to understand, you give them the rarest gift of all, the feeling of being seen. The most successful people in any field, leaders, lovers, creators, share one thing in common. They understand human nature. They listen. They observe. They care enough to see what others miss. That's what makes them magnetic. Not power, not beauty, but depth. So next time you talk to someone, don't ask what they do, where they're from, or how the weather is. Ask the kind of question that makes their soul wake up. Ask what made them smile this week. Ask what they've learned about themselves. Ask what they dream about when no one's watching. Because the moment you start asking better questions, you stop having conversations and start having connections. This is the Stoic Flame, where we don't just talk about life, we understand it. If this message helped you see people differently, share it. Subscribe so we don't lose each other on this path of clarity and wisdom. Until next time, stay aware, stay grounded, and keep your flame alive.